He wasn't talking about individuals. He wasn't talking about Sally and Sam or Linda and Bill. He did not say who God has joined together, let no man separate. He said what God has joined together, let no man separate. What was he talking about? Whatever he was talking about, it was intentional. And both writers of the Gospels that recorded the same event, recorded the same way. Turn with me, please, to the second account of the same teaching. Turn to Mark 10. We're going to read verses 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'll start. You can catch up with me. But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. Verse 7. For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother. Verse 8. And the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Now listen carefully. Please, listen carefully. Verse 9. What, therefore, God has joined together, let no man separate. Again, Jesus said what, not whom. What was he talking about? Jesus' emphasis is upon the binding covenant of marriages, not upon the individuals or the classes or the races or the religions or the particulars of those involved. This command supersedes Moses' regulations and Abraham's regulations. Any ideas that Aristotle had or what the laws of Caesar are. It supersedes every civil and religious authority for all time and place. The only wedding ceremony ever recorded in the Scriptures, the only details that we ever have, was the first one that we just talked about. And according to Jesus, the elements contained therein define the very eternal principles for all mankind. It's a marriage covenant. It was delivered by God, looking forward into a fallen world, confirmed by God in the person of Jesus Christ himself, as the basic principle in effect as long as this world exists. A covenant marriage is between an eligible man and an eligible woman, where a marriage union is intended and declared or permitted by both parties, where mutual commitments are either communicated or inherently understood, regardless of the culture, regardless of religious persuasion, regardless of historical timeline. This is not about Christian marriage theology. This is about human beings and what God has hardwired into our DNA structure. God allows us as a species to choose our lifelong mate, either of our own free will, like in our own society in Canada, United States, and Mexico and Europe, or to have society choose it, or with parental authority, like in some traditional Chinese situations or in East Indian, or in some historical in our own backgrounds. Whatever system is in use is the system that God ordains. That choice of mate, once made, for good or evil, for better or for worse, becomes God's only choice for that particular man and woman involved, as long as they both live. The marriage union is exclusive to all others. It's not free. It's not for. It's not several husbands or several wives where they live. It's only for one man and one woman, as long as both of them live. As God foreknew, marriage covenant union may certainly be violated by sin by one or both of the individuals involved, but never invalidated. It is never replaced by God as long as a married woman or man has a spouse that is still living. History bears this out. I ask you to follow me. History bears this out. Every single culture on the planet today, and in every historical civilization that we know anything about, each historian has identified and held that the society that they were studying considered marriage to be the most important social and religious institution. In fact, it is the base upon which every single society and every single culture that we know of has been built. Each society commonly knows or is codified and defined how a man chooses a woman and a woman chooses a man. Each knows by all the members that belong to that society what constitutes a proper marriage covenant, and gives a clear certainty and meaning to their social structure, their families, and themselves. In each case, there is a declared intention and capacity for permanence and faithfulness within the marriage covenant. This is a base instinct given by the Creator that is cross-race, cross-culture, and cross-time. In our world, we would agree with some of the methods and profoundly disagree with some of the others, but the principles laid down by God and explained by Jesus Christ remain exactly the same. It has not changed. It never will change. There is not a single exception. In democracies or dictatorships, free market economies or communist states, kingdoms or republics, whether Christian or Muslim, Hindu or Jewish, atheist or animistic, without regard to large or small organizations or civilizations, ancient or modern, all have been and remain and will at the same time forever be in regard to the centrality and the fundamental importance of marriage within that society. Not only do all the empires, states, countries, and tribes consider it so, but so nearly does every single individual on this planet who desires to find and love and to be loved by a soulmate, partner, and friend for life, to the exclusion of all others. It's imprinted on our genes, and it's imprinted on our hearts, and each and every one who hears my voice knows this to be true. You know that this is true. No priest, no judge, no witch doctor, no committee, or any tribal chief or pastor has ever, or will indeed can ever, marry anyone. Certainly, they may be participants in a private or public ceremony for the benefit of the organization or society, and may even pronounce and record what has taken place, but they have no power. No man, no woman has any power, delegated from God or otherwise, to form a special act of creation when he takes a man and a woman and makes them one flesh for as long as they live. God declared and recorded that only he can do that. Therefore, we should only expect that God himself in the flesh, Jesus Christ, would repeat in Matthew and Mark his own words that he spoke in the Garden of Eden, and to give clear understanding. But at the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. For this reason, God will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one. Therefore, what God has joined together, let man not separate. I want to draw a point here. The words that said that, the mouth of Jesus Christ that said that, he said, let not man separate. That's the same voice that said, let there be light. That's the same mouth that gave artificial respiration to a lump of clay and turned him into a living being. That's God the Creator. Jesus Christ, Emmanuel, Yahweh, in the flesh. So, what does Jesus mean by this? What does God mean by this? This is what he meant. How does this boil down to you and I today? I'm going to read two verses. Mark 10, 11 and 12. I'll go ahead. Verse 11. And he said to them, whoever divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery against her. Verse 12. And if she herself divorces her husband and marries another man, she is committing adultery. Not just there. Please turn with me to Luke 16, verse 18. I'll go ahead. Everyone who divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery, and he who marries one who is divorced from a husband commits adultery. Very plain. That means that a covenant marriage is a union where God has joined a man who does not have a living, pre-existent wife to a woman who does not have a living, pre-existent husband, into what Jesus describes as a one-flesh union. It means that a marriage can be violated for unfaithfulness and broken vows but not invalidated or vacated or replaced by God